and we are live with the Combatcast, and we are ready to go. Going to talk some UFC 290 this weekend coming up. But first, Chevy, tell people what we got coming up.
All right, July 15th, UFC Fight Night, Holm versus Silva. Yay. July 22nd, UFC Fight Night, Tom Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura. Very excited for that one, for the return from ACL surgery for Tom Aspinall. And then July 29th, oh my goodness, UFC Poirier versus Gaethje 2. Let's go. 291.
Hell yeah. That's the one I'm waiting for right there. Actually, this card right here, it's funny because this card I think is so stacked coming up, but it's my second favorite card in July because at the end of July we're getting Poirier Gaethje 2. So.
Right. All right, let's cruise through last week's card really fast because we want to talk about this upcoming week's card. So, just shout out to Kevin Lee, rough return to the UFC, knocked out in 55 seconds. Some Russian cat, bad news.
Kevin Lee, a lot of his struggles is mental.
Yes and no. I mean, this was a skill thing. He just was getting backed up, and the guy threw a overhand right over his jab and caught him right on the chin. Kevin he wasn't out. He got flash KO'd and locked onto a single leg, but then he ended up getting choked out really bad. Like, Herb actually did a good job of stopping the fight because his hands were stuck inside of the choke and he couldn't tap. So, it was rough. But hopefully Kevin can eventually make a comeback here. Needs a favorable matchup, but
yeah, I like the guy. I mean, he once defeated Michael Chiesa, who's still in the UFC and is no joke. So, I mean,
this was his first fight at 170, as far as I know. Also, so different weight class. All right, let's talk about the co-main. Damir Ismagulov versus Grant Dawson. You didn't see these fights, right? Because you were at the carnival. Yeah,
carnival. Thanks to everyone who showed up.
Yeah. Grant Dawson just destroyed Damir on the ground. He broke him. He had him in like this full Nelson at one point where he was just cranking on his shoulders. He really big brothered him. Dawson needs a top level opponent now, I think. So. Also, if I just disappear, there is a giant thunderstorm happening at my house, and there's a good chance I lose power. So, shout out to thunderstorms.
I will carry on with you, brother.
Yeah. Okay. Main event: Sean Strickland versus Abus Magomedov. Sean Strickland knocked him out in the second round. Abus was looking pretty good in the first, but he also landed a really bad eye poke on Strickland. Sean was saying that he really wanted to just quit, but the people were like cheering for him in the crowd. And he was like, that coward was talking to me, but I didn't allow it. So he just pushed through, and Abus was way too tired. He is not prepared to go more than one round, and Sean knocked him out in the second round. So shout out to him. And then, Sean called out Izzy. He wants a title shot with Izzy. We'll see if that's going to happen. I don't think so, but it's possible. All right, so looks like the man they called Dave lost power too. Similar region, so he's also getting a thunderstorm. So, let's talk a little bit. Well, let's talk some of the prelims that are going to be happening while we're waiting for Dave to get back here. So, couple injuries, have some fight changes here going on. One is Jack Della Maddalena lost his opponent, and he's ended up getting somebody else to sign on to fight him. So it's going to be Josiah Harrell. I don't know much about him. He's 7-0. He's fighting the monster and Jack Della Maddalena, who has just been running through people lately. I assume that he's going to continue that run. I assume he's going to knock him out. Probably, I'll say a second round knockout for Jack. But I hope Josiah gets another shot in the UFC because, this is a very tough guy to come in and do your short notice debut against. So hopefully the UFC will take care of him and give him a second shot. So going on from there, another prelim fight we want to talk about, Robbie Lawler versus Nico Price. Robbie Lawler will be making his final walk to the octagon this weekend against tough as nails Nico Price. So if this fight was on the main card, which it should be, it is a sin to not put Robbie Lawler on the main card with all he's done for the UFC. But if it was on the main card, I'd say it has chances to be fight of the night. It's going to be very tough to be a prelim fight and get fight of the night with the lineup that this card has. So that being said, I do think we're going to get a war here. I think both guys' chins are going to hold up, and we're going to see a classic Robbie Lawler war. And, I've been going back and forth on who I think is going to win this one. And I think I'm going to pick with my heart, and I'm going to go with Robbie Lawler. Obviously, we love Robbie here at Working Fans. Just a great warrior, great representative of the sport, super nice guy, and just a savage. So Nico Price, super tough guy, pretty good wrestling, good striking, unorthodox striking. He can knock people out, but I don't think he's going to knock out Robbie, even if Robbie's 40 years old. So I'm going to go with Robbie by decision in an absolute war for that one. So, all right, we're going to move on to the main event, or the main card here. Hopefully Dave will pop back in here soon, but we're going to talk about Bo Nikal versus Val Woodburn. So originally, Bo Nikal was scheduled to face Trajan Gore, who is a guy that I've been following. He's a tough guy, powerful striker. Well, getting those crazy thunderstorms here, guys. Powerful striker, but he had an injury that was undisclosed last time I looked. So that was on Monday. He had to pull out of the fight. So today is Tuesday, and they found Val Woodburn. He's 7-0. I don't know too much about him, but I don't think it's really going to matter. I feel bad for the guy, similar to Jack Della Maddalena's opponent, but I think Bo is an even bigger ask to come in and face on your debut. He should be facing top 15 guys at this point, I think, with his skill set. So I think he rolls him up inside of the first 2 minutes of the fight if he wants to. There's a possibility that he comes in and his coaches want to see him work, get a little bit more octagon time, maybe face, a few things that he hasn't seen in training against some guys. There's certain things that you can only see when you're actually inside the octagon. So you might see him work on particular striking things, and if a finish presents itself, he goes for it. But if not, he's just going to go for the takedown, and he's going to ground and pound or submit the guy if he's just going in there to destroy, which personally I think would be the best move for him. I think he's at that top 15 level, top 10 level probably, and he should be getting in there as soon as possible. Oh, welcome back, Dave.
Hey, man. You were worried about you getting knocked out here. I felt like I was getting hit by Robbie Lawler here for a second.
Oh, yes. So welcome back. We talked about the Robbie Lawler and Nico Price. We're talking about Bo Nikal and Val Woodburn now. So Bo Nikal, yes, he got a new opponent. Trajan Gore had pulled out. Val Woodburn, 7-0 fighter.
Wow.
I was just talking about how I don't know too much about him, but I assume he's going to get rolled up inside the first 2 minutes.
Well, that would be the idea, you would imagine. It's funny, though, because Trajan Gore, he had a 4-2 record, despite being in the UFC. He was already 1-2 in the UFC. He won his last fight over, I have Josh Fiend, I believe, and the guy's 10-4. So Trajan was an interesting opponent. He trains with Uriah Hall, And I still felt like at the end of the day, he was there for Bo Nikal basically to beat. I imagine this guy will be as well. But whenever I see 7-0, 8-0, when we start getting more fights versus somebody, I am interested. Like, I do see, like, okay, well, it's another test for Bo.
This guy trains with Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland, I believe. So,
which great training partners, because we know one thing about those guys: they are mentally tough and they don't get intimidated. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'll go with you. Bo Nikal, round 1 submission is what I'll say.
You want to give Robbie Lawler his flowers since you missed out on that?
I'd love to, but I actually don't know if I can pick him over Nico. I feel like Nico is a tough matchup for him on the way out. I think it'll be a fun fight, maybe even fight of the night, but I'm going to go with Nico. I say Nico will get it done, maybe by decision, because Lawler's going to be so heavily motivated just to hang in there and fight hard.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's move on to another great war, Jalin Turner versus Dan Hooker.
All right, Hooker's 22-12. He's got 11 KOs, 7 subs, 4 decisions. He's 2-2 in his last 4 fights, but don't be fooled. Like, this guy has fought everybody from Poirier to Michael Chandler, you name it. He's fought all the tough opponents. Jalin Turner, 13-6, 9 KOs, 4 subs, and he's won 5 out of his last 6. Turner is a tough matchup. I feel bad for Hooker because I felt like he had a string of bad luck there for a little while. I don't know. It's funny. I like Robbie Lawler. I want to pick Robbie Lawler. I want to pick Dan Hooker, but I'm going with Jalin Turner. I just think Jalin Turner is going to get this done. I love his power. I love the way he fights. I say this could go either way. All right. I don't even know if Hooker's maybe the odds-on favorite, but I'm going to say Dan. I'm going to say Dan gets TKO round 3.
Yeah, the UFC is not doing Dan any favors. This is another tough matchup for him. I'm a big fan of both guys, really, but I feel like Hooker really needs to win more. I don't see him getting it here, unfortunately. Jalin, very powerful, has great fast twitch muscle, and he's also very good at using his reach and length. So I think we're going to see basically a kickboxing match here, and I think that Jalin outpoints him.
Yeah,
Dan's too tough to get knocked out. So
I just think Jalen's just a great athlete, like you said too.
Yeah.
Happy 4th too to Randy Oscar in the comments.
Yeah, shout out Randy Oscar.
Should be a fun fight card indeed. So let's continue on.
Yeah. All right. Robert Whitaker versus Dricus Du Plessis.
Du Plessis, 19-2, 8 KOs, 10 subs, 1 decision, 5-0 in the UFC, 4 finishes. Whitaker, what can you say about this guy? 24-6, 9 KOs, 5 subs, 10 decisions. Former middleweight champion, former Australian Ultimate Fighter winner. Whitaker is the best middleweight, not Israel Adesanya. I know the UFC probably wants Du Plessis to win this because it'll be a fresh opponent. To a point, as much as I love Whitaker, I kind of want that because we've seen this so many times. It ain't going to happen. I just don't see it. I'm not saying we can't get it done, but until I see it, I'm not going to believe it because I've seen Whitaker just beat everybody not named Israel Adesanya. So I'm going to pick Robert Whitaker by decision.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a big Bobby Knuckles fan.
Yes.
Dricus would be the better story to help out Izzy as far as the storyline, but I just don't see him beating Bobby Knuckles. I think Robert avoids the big shots in the first round, then puts it on Dricus. He gets him out of there in the second round any way he wants, but I'll say TKO. All right. Let's talk about co-main event: Brandon Moreno versus Alexandre Pantoja.
Man, Brandon Moreno, like we talk about who people we like to fight, who we're partial to. I'm starting to really think Brandon Moreno might be my favorite fighter, personally.
He's got to be the nicest guy in the UFC.
So nice and such a fighting spirit. When you think of fighting spirit, like that heart, like someone who keeps coming, like I think Brandon Moreno all day. But his opponent has 2 wins over him, one on the Ultimate Fighter and one in, the actual UFC fights because Ultimate Fighters are exhibitions. But
in 2018 though was that second loss. So it was a while ago.
It was, yeah. 25-5, 8 KOs, 10 subs, 7 decisions, 2 wins over the champ. So you got to think this is a dangerous opponent. Brandon Moreno, 21-6-2, 5 KOs, 11 subs, 5 decisions. UFC Flyweight Champion twice, first ever Mexican UFC champion. The credulity, whatever you want to call it, with Davidson Figueiredo, amazing. And Brandon Moreno just really showed up every time. Even the time he lost and it was a draw, like we just kept seeing this monumental improvement. Now, I watched UFC 290 Countdown Special, and the trainers and the coaches for Pantoja, everybody kept saying what a big deal to make out of Brandon Moreno, improving. He said, so what? So has Pantoja. I want to say I believe that. I do. But I don't necessarily believe it, again, until I see it, that it's the same improvement that Brandon Moreno has made, because Pantoja's fought Davidson Figueiredo before too, and it did not go as well for him. So obviously MMA math, you can't really count on that, but I just got to go Brandon Moreno here. I think it'll be a good fight. I think it's going to go to the later rounds, 4 or 5. I'll go 4, and I'll say Moreno gets him out of there with a rear naked choke.
Yeah, again, we're on similar wavelengths here. I love Moreno, and he's proven that he can rise to an occasion and overcome adversity. And he needs to come with that elite mentality, because Pantoja does seem to have his number. But like I was saying, that's up until 2018. And yes, both guys have improved, but they say, being the champ, you're 10% better, 40% better, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do think that gives Brennan that extra confidence, and I think that's what he'll need to go in there and be his best self. And I think that Pantoja maybe thinks that this win is already in the bag, and that's going to go against him as well. So I'm rooting for Brandon, and I think he's going to get a decision win. And I think fairly dominant way, too. I think he really makes a statement with this.
All right, let's get to this main event.
All right, main event. Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. Will we have 2 Mexican champions by the end of this card?
Okay, let's get into this first. Yair Rodriguez, 15-3-1, 5 KOs, 4 subs, 6 decisions. He's the interim featherweight champion. He was a Latin American Ultimate Fighter winner. He's had Fight of the Night 5 times. He's had Performance of the Night 4 times. He's tied with Swanson and Holloway for most fight bonuses in UFC Featherweight division. Latest knockout ever in UFC history with that buzzer beater over the Korean Zombie. So this guy is excitement, and I say it every time I think Yair is about to fight. This guy continues to improve leaps and bounds, and we never know what version of Yair we're going to see. Now, Volkanovski, 25-2, 12 KOs, 3 subs, 10 decisions. Current featherweight champion, 3 successful title defenses, Fight of the Night 3 times, Performance of the Night 1 time, tied with Arnold Allen for the second longest win streak in featherweight division history, tied with Max Holloway for the second most title fight wins in UFC featherweight division history. All right, what all that means is this is a guy who knows how to win. He finds ways to win all the time. I could almost use my logic with Whitaker with Volkanovski, meaning I want Yair to win. I think Yair would be a more exciting champion. I think it'd be more favorable. But until I see it done, until somebody shows me they can beat Volkanovski, I have a hard time picking against him. That being said, I'm entitled to pick one with my heart. I'm not actually betting on this. If you're betting on this, bet on Volkanovski by decision or submission with a rear naked choke, probably round 4 or whatever. I'm going to go in spectacular fashion. The only way I think Yair will get it done with a TKO. And I'm going to actually say he gets it done a little earlier, round 3, because I think he'll need to get it done a little earlier if he's going to do it too. Round 4 and 5, Volkanovski just gets better as the fight goes on. So,
yeah, I'm so interested in this fight. Yair presents some obstacles that we haven't seen Volkanovski deal with yet. So the length, obviously Volkanovski's always the smaller fighter in all of these fights, but Yair uses his reach better than almost any other fighter in the division.
And if I could just say, not to cut you off 1 second, because I think you'll agree with me, this and just popped in my head. Someone would probably hear this argue, well, Max Holloway is the best boxer. Yair uses not only his reach with his arms, but with his feet better than anybody.
Right. His ability to cover distance with those kicks is unmatched in the division for sure. So, maybe Giga Chikaze, but, he's not in title contention right now. So, Yair, so creative with all of his striking too. And then after that Max Holloway fight, we just saw how tough he really has gotten.
Right.
Excellent chin. And like you were saying, he gets those giant leaps in ability between fights, and he's going to need one of those giant leaps here because Volkanovski, at this point, is the greatest featherweight for sure. And, I just don't think that Yair is going to be able to knock him out. He has all the tools to, but like you were saying, Volkanovski just finds a way to win. And I assume he's going to make the correct adjustments. But Yair's chin holds up Volkanovski by decision. I think it'll be a close fight, though.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of adversity both guys are going to go through. Both guys are going to maybe get rocked or put in dangerous situations on the ground or whatever. But I think Volkanovski his fight IQ is higher, and I think he gets it done.
We should probably get out of here soon because of the storm. But, I just want to say, playing with thunder and lightning here, but I got to say this before we get out. John Anik said that Yair is probably not given the respect he felt he deserved with the betting line, basically. That, not to say that Yair is going to beat Volkanovski. We know what a killer Volkanovski is, he said, but I think, just like you said, presents different problems for Volkanovski that he hasn't faced before. So I think, listen to some experts. John Anik's about as good as you get, right? And this should be an interesting fight. And I do want to add one more thing, too. Again, you can't – it's a real fight. It's not, like in pro wrestling where we can book who we want to win. But Yair, if he pulls this off, this is a guy with real star potential, with Mexico and that market, as a champion. If he was ever to get pushed and given a shot to say, not again, we're talking way over our head here, but if he was a chance to get a light heavyweight, if this guy was ever going to be a double champ, what he could mean given the market in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he just, he's got a hell of a chance starting this weekend to really.
Big opportunity, yeah.
Yeah, big opportunity. So I can't help but really root for this guy. I really want to see him do it. Nothing against Volkanovski. He's been there. Wouldn't mind him seeing going back up to lightweight. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Very, very, very good looking card on paper. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much, UFC, for putting this on. We love these July cards for sure.
Absolutely. All right, let's hit it one more time. What we got coming up?
All right, July 15th, UFC Fight Night, Holm versus Silva, and then July 22nd, UFC Fight Night, Tom Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura, and then July 29th, UFC 291, Poirier versus Gaethje 2.
All right, should be a burner. All right, guys, we'll see you at the fights.